Quite a few years ago, my wife and I built our first sailboat. It was just, well, it was kind of crude. It was a plywood kit that came out of a box, but it was 17 feet long and it had a cabin. And it wasn't very long before we learned that we had to have a dinghy. And at that time, I had just been working on the Westlawn School of Yacht Design, so I decided to build the best tender for a sailing yacht. Parameters being low towing resistance, lightweight, you can carry it up the beach when the tide goes out, would carry a lot of weight, and last but not least, actually be fun to use. So you used it because you wanted to and not because you had to. The first one we built was 8 feet long. It has a lot of carrying capacity. It'll carry, well, 475 pounds, which is a lot for an 8-foot dinghy, and yet it weighs only 75 pounds. Easy to carry up and down the beach. You need to put it up on the deck of your sailboat, or you want to put it in the back of a pickup truck. It's really easy to handle. It has a long, deep keel, so it tracks really well. And you can also put a small motor on it. Also available with a sail rig. I wanted to make something that was, as I said, real fun to use, but had a little bit more forgiving nature to it. So if your parameters are, you have to have an 8-foot boat for space reasons, it's a good one. But we outgrew this one really fast. We realized the limitations of an 8-foot dinghy, and we also started getting bigger sailboats so we could tow a bigger dinghy. And after looking at the design angles, I decided that 10 feet was actually the best prismatic. And a prismatic is the ratio of length to beam and weight, which indicates how easily a solid object can slip through the water. 10 feet gives you a beautiful flowing prismatic. So it makes it really fast, wonderful, wonderful rowboat. And by using modern composites, we can still build it so it actually only weighs about 10 to 15 pounds more than an 8-footer. So still real easy to handle. And this one, the 10-foot Navigator, has become, I'll say, the standard of the industry for a tender for sailing boats in Puget Sound. We built hundreds and hundreds of them. I don't even know how many anymore. And now they're all over the world. I've seen them in pictures of them from Australia to Europe. They're all over. And it's a wonderful rowboat. You take a gentle pull on the oars, it'll glide 20, 30, 40, 50 feet per oar stroke. And a real important factor of all of our boats is that they have long, full-length keel on them, so when you take a stroke with the oars, the boat goes straight. There's nothing more annoying than having a boat that moves well through the water, but it won't track, so you're constantly going with one oar or the other, making this fishtail trying to get where you want to go. And this one lends itself, because of that beautiful prismatic, lends itself to be a really, really nice sailboat. And we've designed it so that you can sail it either with main alone, so if you're in real high wind conditions, or you got somebody that's learning how to sail, makes it real basic, makes it so that it's not spooky at all. There's a one string to pull, one stick to turn, and real nice sailing dynamics. And then you want a faster, more fun sailboat. The high performance option is a bolt-on bowsprit. If you just try to put a jib here, you don't have enough space to get airflow between the sails. So using a bowsprit gives you the flow on it. You use a 120 Genoa, and adding a mere 30 square feet to the head sail on it virtually doubles the power of the sails on the boat. And it's a lot of fun. In the late 90s, trawler yachts were becoming really popular. Even though we're still selling a lot of these for sailing yachts, the people who are in the trawler yachts are usually looking for, they still want an aesthetic, really pretty boat that looks good on the stern of their yacht, not a big balloon or barge sitting on the back there. That's something that they also enjoy using. But the trawler yacht people usually aren't as tuned into buoyancy and movement as sailors are, so they want more initial stability than you get in a round bottom boat like the Navigator or the Nisqually. So that's why we came up with the captain's gig. And it's also a medium size. That's 8 feet, this is a little bit over 9 feet, that's 10 feet. But the difference is not just in the length, which makes it still fit on the back of on a trawler yacht, but it has more initial stability. And we did that with the hull form itself. Whereas the Navigator, as you see, has a rounded chine. It has what's called a harder chine on the captain's gig. The harder chine gives more initial stability when you first get into it.
That's more forgiving.
And also the power boaters wanted to use an outboard motor a bit more than the sailors did. A round bottom boat doesn't pick up buoyancy until it's starting to be pushed in the water. So if you put a motor on the back, it sinks quite a bit before it starts to support it. So this one, instead of having a round bottom, has a wine glass transom. So it comes down, and then it's got this flatter section at the bottom that gives buoyancy. All of our boats, from the smallest one to the biggest one, are designed to use outboard motors. But by the nature of the boats, small, light motors are all you need. They're not going to plane. They don't have that big fat stern that creates drag like an outboard motorboat. So small, light motors all you need. On these, a little 2-horse Honda or Yamaha is all you need. Keep it light and make it easy to take on and off when you want to use the boat for something different.